Hello, my name is Guy Glidden. I'm the Newman University Southeast Kansas coordinator, and this is going to be part 2 of a 3-part series on the topic of teaching as a career. Now, there is currently available a screencast on the idea of questions and resources for career searches. If you have not seen that, I would encourage you to do so. But today I'm going to be focusing on the aspects of what is required to be a successful teacher. And to do that, let's go over and talk directly about 4 things that I want to introduce you to. And this is based on research in general about what makes effective teachers. Obviously, there are a lot of more specific questions. But since many of you are simply looking at the possibility of the question, is teaching a good fit for me? Let me talk about some very general aspects that you can compare with your current notes and experiences, because this would be the best way for you to know, is this going to work for me? So let's start by the first one, which is basically the idea of teaching requires meeting and working with lots of people. So in a sense, if you want to address it that way, teaching requires one to be a people person. Simply put, every day, every teacher at every level of education, from working with very young children to working with adults, meets with, talks with, listens to students, parents, fellow teachers, and others. Simply put, it would be impossible for me to think of a day of teaching where one could go through the day without meeting with people. Now, it's true, I suppose you could say, if you wanted to be a purist, right now, when I'm doing this, I'm talking to a machine. In a sense, that's correct. But again, I'm doing this with the idea of getting a reaction and communicating with you. So I've got to be thinking all the time, how is this going to address your needs? I've got to be thinking about you all the time when I'm doing this, so it goes right back to the issue. Everything in teaching has to do with meeting and working with lots of people. So basically ask yourselves the question, do you like to do these things? And let's break them down into specifics, because communication and meeting with people first of all means good listening skills, active listening skills. Listening is not just a matter of waiting it out while someone else talks so you can tell that person what you want to tell them. It means I'm going to listen actively to what you're saying so I can pay attention to the comments and I can respond to the things that you are addressing to me. I'm listening not only to what you're saying verbally, but I'm listening to the emotional tone. Because if you're saying it and I hear a loud and angry voice, I've got to treat that differently than if I hear a matter-of-fact voice. And I can think of lots of situations where in working with students, I could hear almost the same question. But if I hear it as a fearful question, or a positive question, or an angry question, it could mean far different things. So we're starting with good listening. Speaking skills. Now, you don't have to be a great stump orator. We're not going to give bonus points, but can you speak effectively? Can you make sure that people understand what you're saying? Are you clear about these things, not only in the words you're using, but also in the pictures you're painting? So can you communicate directions? Can you communicate emotion? Can you communicate meaning effectively? Teaching more and more requires presentations. Simply put, a few years ago, I wouldn't have even have known what a screencast was, let alone providing information to you. So it's a matter of using new tools that could include my iPhone. It could include my computer, but it also has got to include old-fashioned skills of listening, speaking, face-to-face communication, or lots of things. And finally, can I use communication to make adjustments? That means, can I hear what you're saying, and can I turn around and make adjustments based on what you're telling me is not going so well? Teamwork. Teaching is a part of successful teams. So schools that are successful when a community of teachers work together. Simply put, it requires more than just one outstanding teacher to make a school. So you can do your part, but you need to work with lots of other people. Well, communication includes give and take. And I know that on national news, we are aware of the fact that sometimes that's very difficult for people to think in terms of teamwork. So how do we engage in give and take and work to people with a common goal and a common agenda? Sometimes you have to be leading. Sometimes you have to be following. Sometimes you have to change courses in the middle of the stream. So reading other people and reading my role is important. And a big thing I think is important, successful teaching teams, like successful sports teams, develop a team ego to replace individual egos. So, how are you at teamwork? Well, if you've had experience with sports and athletic teams, those are good examples of teamwork, as the illustration points. But there's more than that. How many of you have participated in instrumental or vocal music, played in a band? Good bands require teamwork. I can't do it all by myself. If it's a band, I'm not a solo instrument. I've got to work with other people. So teamwork is an important aspect of the process of being an effective teaching team. So the idea of the Lone Ranger in education is pretty much gone. The role of people working successfully in teams is really important. You're taking an important beginning education at LCC right now, and successful teachers have a background of knowledge, starting with the course you're taking right now. This is not an occupation that you just say one day, I want to be a teacher, and presto, you're an effective teacher. It requires skill development, knowledge background, preparation activities, thinking things out. So there's a whole body of knowledge you have to study that. And let's not kid ourselves that teachers complete a demanding program of study. And in part 3 of this presentation about teaching careers, I'll even tell you a little bit about some of the aspects. So that's extremely important that we talk about the idea that teachers aren't just born teachers. Teachers are developed teachers by working with other people and developing skills. And more importantly, effective teachers are constantly learning by taking other courses, by learning new things, by doing all kinds of things. So if you like to learn new things, you probably would want to be a teacher. That would be an important aspect. And finally, let's talk about problem solving. For teachers, no 2 days are exactly alike. So good teachers are constantly adjusting and making adjustments. Now, that doesn't mean they're just adjusting for things that happen wrong, so maybe the term problem solving is an inappropriate term. It could be that things went very well in my class that I presented, and so I found out that I can go a lot faster or I can move quicker than I thought I did. So good teachers are always making adjustments during a working day, and this occurs for teachers more than probably happens for almost any other occupation I can think of. So here are 4 aspects that you can think of right now that you can start to do a check yourself. Are these things that are of interest to me, that I think I can do, that I would be interested in doing, that I would be interested in developing? And that might tell you, well, yes, I think that perhaps I might like being a teacher.